Hey, One Pride, I'm Dustin Davis, and welcome to the channel. Here, you'll find everything you need to know about the Lions. Detroit's championship aspirations face a critical test this season. The franchise has built a roster capable of deep playoff contention, yet recurring personnel challenges threaten to derail momentum at the worst possible time. The Lions organization now confronts difficult decisions that will determine whether this window stays open or begins to close. Offensive continuity has become a mounting concern as key contributors battle through setbacks. The front office must balance immediate needs against long-term stability, all while maintaining the competitive edge that has defined recent campaigns. Internal depth will be tested in ways the coaching staff hadn't anticipated entering November. Questions linger about whether Detroit can sustain its current trajectory without reinforcements. The margin for error narrows with each passing week, and the path forward demands both strategic clarity and adaptive execution. What unfolds next may well define this era of Lions football. That being said, let's check out some important developments happening in Detroit. Before we dive in, I have a quick request. If you find value in our content, please give us a like. It's a small gesture, but it really helps. Thanks for being awesome. Detroit has moved tight end Sam Laporta to injured reserve following a back injury, creating an absence that will span multiple weeks but potentially allows for late-season availability. The roster decision was announced on Saturday, with Laporta unavailable for Sunday's matchup in Philadelphia and sidelined for a minimum of 3 additional contests, though the coaching staff maintains cautious hope the issue won't eliminate him from the remainder of the campaign. Dan Campbell described Laporta's back condition as substantial but not definitively season-ending, pointing out that the tight end qualifies for activation during Week 15. Campbell presented a post-Week 14 return as achievable if the medical situation improves and stressed an incremental week-by-week evaluation process. Campbell reinforced that Laporta's injury carries weight but may not eliminate him from the season's closing stretch. With Week 15 eligibility on the horizon, the head coach indicated a return remains within reach. Obviously enough to where we're talking about 4 weeks here. Obviously, we're going to hope that this thing calms down, and after those 4 games, we can get him back. We're really just taking this day-to-day, week-to-week, Campbell said via SI.com. The offensive unit displayed noticeable disruption during Sunday's defeat, failing to establish rhythm in either the passing game or ground attack with Laporta sidelined. Laporta has started as one of Jared Goff's most trusted receiving options since joining the roster as a second-round selection in 2023. Across 42 appearances with Detroit, he's accumulated 186 catches for 2,104 yards and 20 touchdowns, with current season statistics showing 40 receptions for 489 yards and 3 scores. His output ranks him as the team's second leading pass catcher behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. The franchise has consistently answered adversity throughout the current campaign, securing victories after each of its initial 3 losses. Sunday's Philadelphia defeat, however, represents the team's 4th loss, pushing Detroit to 6-4 and creating complications in the playoff race. The club currently resides outside postseason positioning and trails the Chicago Bears by 1 game in the NFC North standings. Sunday's contest revealed problems along the line of scrimmage and in pass protection. Detroit managed only 3.5 yards per rushing attempt, while Philadelphia generated 19 quarterback pressures on Jared Goff. Despite those challenges, Campbell stood behind his offensive line and expressed belief in their capacity to elevate performance as the group develops cohesion. "I believe in these guys, man, I do. I just think the more they play together and they mesh and we do things that we do well," Campbell said via the team's official website. After assuming play-calling responsibilities from offensive coordinator John Morton, Campbell acknowledged certain questionable in-game choices and referenced a 2nd down and 3 situation where he hesitated between securing the short conversion or pursuing a deeper throw. Do you take a shot, or do you just get the 1st down? If you're going to get the first, why do that? Why not run it one more time or maybe go the shot or a more completion play? Maybe it's a 3-step. Those are the little things, man, you learn from as you go that I think could have been a lot better. There's better, and those are the things that I've got to be better at, and I know I can be better at, and I kick myself a little bit. With Laporta's extended absence now confirmed, the front office must explore immediate options to fill the void at tight end. The IR move at first indicated a 4-game minimum absence, preserving a theoretical avenue for late-year participation. Since those existing roster options are better known for blocking capabilities than consistent pass-catching output, Detroit should survey the free agent landscape and the posing practice squads to identify an immediate receiving presence at tight end. Gerald Everett offers veteran receiving experience. Considering the present depth arrangement, the franchise would gain from incorporating a veteran receiving tight end. Gerald Everett remains unsigned following a difficult campaign in Chicago and could constitute a minimal risk acquisition. Everett's 2024 statistics with the Bears were limited: 8 catches, 13 targets for 36 yards, spanning 17 games, but that followed a productive 2023 with the Chargers, 51 receptions on 70 targets for 411 yards and 3 touchdowns. Beyond last season's decline, Everett recorded 5 straight seasons of at least 400 receiving yards, and the Detroit front office should arrange a workout. Jody Fortson provides size and special teams value. With midseason alternative scares, the Lions could gamble on Jody Fortson for practice squad reinforcement. The 29-year-old has fought through injuries but is reportedly healthy after tearing an ACL and meniscus last year, per NFL Media's In Rappaport. Fortson's recent regular season involvement is minimal: 1 reception for 5 yards across 3 2024 appearances with the Chiefs, and owns just 22 career games. Still, at 6'4" and 235 pounds, he supplies physicality, special teams, and sporadic offensive potential. During 2022, he tallied 9 catches for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, and PFF documented a 64.7 receiving grade and 73.9 run blocking grade via Dolphins Wire. With Brock Wright's blocking performance inconsistent, Fortson's run-blocking credentials and special teams capability render him a compelling depth prospect. Kenny Yeboah is a recognizable name the Lions could revisit. Detroit released him earlier this month with an injury settlement after signing him during the offseason, but his familiarity with the scheme and special teams background make a low-investment reunion practical. Yeboah spent some time on injured reserve throughout the preseason, but possesses prior special team snaps, 610 with the New York Jets, and a modest 48.4 run-blocking grade on PFF. He also demonstrated pass-catching upside in college at Ole Miss. As a practice squad reclamation project, Yeboah presents limited risk and could furnish useful depth and playbook knowledge.
On the defensive side of the ball, a bold proposal has emerged that could transform Detroit's pass rush into an unstoppable force. The Lions approach the NFL trade deadline period as a frequently mentioned candidate for a major acquisition, but no marquee transaction materialized before the deadline expired. The organization possessed rationale to act aggressively after absorbing multiple hits to its pass rush, yet it ultimately declined a deadline blockbuster that could have redefined its defensive trajectory. Following Aiden Hutchinson's 2024 leg injury and after the exits of Za'Darius Smith, initially through free agency and subsequently via retirement, plus Marcus Davenport's early season Week 2 injury, forecasts indicated Detroit might again struggle generating reliable pressure in 2025. That storyline hasn't entirely materialized for a combination of anticipated and unexpected factors, but depending on improvised contributions from improbable sources isn't a viable extended strategy. Against that backdrop, Alex Kay of Bleacher Report floated on Tuesday, November 18th, a package that would dispatch Detroit's 2026 and 2027 first-round selections, a 2026 second-rounder, a 2027 third-rounder, and a 2026 fourth-rounder to the Cleveland Browns in return for elite pass rusher Myles Garrett. Acquiring a talent of Garrett's magnitude would supply Detroit with the final explosive pass rush component it requires to legitimately be viewed as a significant Super Bowl favorite. Detroit already operates one of the NFL's most disruptive pass rush collectives, compiling 31 sacks this season and restricting opposing quarterbacks to merely 192.1 passing yards per contest. Those are robust team-wide figures. Inserting Garrett opposite Hutchinson would likely elevate the unit toward dominant, league-leading territory. Garrett recently finalized a 4-year, $160 million extension that secures him under contract through his age 35 campaign in 2030. Trading for him would unite Garrett with Hutchinson, who himself inked a 4-year extension valued at $180 million that similarly extends through 2030. While that magnitude of financial commitment would be substantial, it would cement arguably the most threatening outside rushing pair in football for several seasons. Garrett is leading the league with 22 tackles for loss and 15 sacks through Week 11, and his career aggregate reaches 117.5 sacks across 9 seasons. Hutchinson, prior to the 2024 leg injury, was tracking toward challenging single-season sack benchmarks. He had 7.5 sacks through 5 games, and this season he has 7.5 sacks through 10 contests while pacing the NFL with 4 forced fumbles. Hutchinson tops Detroit's sack production this year, but rotational defensive end Al-Quadin Muhammad follows closely with 6 sacks, and linebackers Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes have contributed 4 sacks each. Muhammad is experiencing a career-best campaign and is competing on the final season of his existing contract. An output from linebacker positions and secondary edge roles can be unpredictable when those players aren't reliably winning matchups at the line of scrimmage. Detroit has operated as a genuine Super Bowl contender throughout the previous 2 seasons and is situated to mount another postseason run despite a moderate decline in its overall record thus far. Trading for a transformational asset like Garrett would help the Lions establish a defensive identity and represents a sensible, all-in maneuver if the franchise seeks to prolong what has already been a multi-year championship window, a period of sustained competitiveness that few organizations maintain for extended durations. Would you pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade for Myles Garrett? Is surrendering multiple first-round picks and future draft capital worth pairing him with Aiden Hutchinson to create the NFL's most feared pass-rushing duo? Or do you believe Detroit should trust its current defensive rotation and invest those picks in building long-term depth? Leave your honest opinion in the comments. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Join the community for exclusive daily content. We're here to keep you updated with everything going on in Detroit. See you next time.